Good evening, Almond Grove Charter School families. We are so happy to be here again at doing the Sunday evening book club. We hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving break with your families and loved ones. I know I had a nice, relaxing time. How about you, Mrs.
I did.
Hendrickson?
I made Thanksgiving dinner for 16 family members. So it was a bit stressful, but it was a really special time to all be together.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we hope the same for you. We are going to be so excited to see you all tomorrow.
Yes.
Now, this week we just had a very special Thanksgiving holiday. Now this week we have the holiday show to look forward to. So boys and girls, we will be there and watching you. We can't wait for your families to see the show. We hear you every day and see you every day practicing. So it's just going to be amazing. So moms and dads and grandmas, aunts and uncles just cannot wait to see your little child's dancing and singing on the stage. So this week we will start December. Now we are finishing our Junie B. Jones first grader turkey book. We will be doing that, and then next week our chapter book will start focusing on our December theme, which is being giving. So December will be the month of giving. So I will go ahead and start with the end of Junie B. first grader. Turkeys we have loved and eaten and other thankful stuff.
They just won first place.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think they were really surprised that their list won. Mm-hmm. Nipsey Doodles.
Yeah, it was a very unique thankful list for sure. And then I know they had I know they didn't like pumpkin pie. And what were they going to do with the pie?
I think they were going to chew it up and then spit it in the classroom sink.
Ooh, all right.
Yes.
All right, well, here we go. So we are on chapter 10, naming stuff. All of us skipped back to our seats. Principal walked to the front of the room, and he saw our thankful list on the board. We had added more stuff on Tuesday afternoon, so now it was 20 whole items long. Principal read the list out loud. Number 1, cranberry jelly in a can. Number 2, exploding biscuits. 3, Nipsey Doodles. 4, rainbow sprinkles. 5, toilet paper. 6, money. 7, Philip Johnny Bob. 8, Police Sergeant Chuck. 9, sausages. 10, Stinky. 11, good old Larry from last year. 12, cookies, but not the coconut kind. 13, Jose's remote control. 14, lightning bugs. 15, the big box of 64 crayons. 16, penguins. 17, Lenny's washcloth puppet. 18, whipped cream that Roger accidentally squirted in his mouth before school. Ooh. 19, nasal spray, and 20, the Cartoon Network. After he finished reading, Principal smiled real big. Boys and girls, this is the most honest list we have ever had in the school contest, he said. Thank you for telling us what children are really thankful for. Lenny turned around and looked at May. Then he did a big smirk. Nipsey Doodles rule, he said. May turned his head back around. Just then, we heard feet in the hallway, and yay, yay, hooray, our favorite janitor came through the door. Gus Villani, it's Gus Villani, I shouted real thrilled. Gus Villani is the nicest janitor in the whole entire world. He was pushing a cart with a table and folding chairs on it. I jumped up so he could see me. Gus Villani, it's me, it's Junie B. Jones, I yelled. Did you hear we won the thankful contest? Did you see the blue ribbon on our door? I hurried to the front of the room. What do you have there, Gus Villani? Is that folding chairs for our feast today? 'Cause maybe I could help you with them. Gus Villani did a chuckle at me. Well, Junie B. Jones, don't you look nice today? He said. You're all dressed up like a pilgrim girl. I nodded. Yes, I know. I said, at first I did not want to be a pilgrim girl. And so me and Mother had a tussle behind the trash can. Only now I am hardly even sweaty. Plus, also, I can spit pie in the cleanup sink, and so my whole entire mood got better. Gus Villani looked confused at me. Principal looked confused too. Mr. Scary walked me back to my seat, and he said for me to please stay put. After that, Principal helped Gus Villani and Mr. Scary set up the table and chairs. And wait till you hear this. All of our guests had signed up to bring the feast food, so room 1 didn't have to make a thing. I tapped on my friend Herbert. What kind of food is your mother bringing? I asked. My mother and my grandma, Miller, are bringing cranberry jelly. Herbert turned around. My mother has to work today, but my grandmother is bringing carrot sticks. Oh boy, I said, I love carrot sticks. Lenny grinned. Me too, he said. My grandmother is coming to the feast, but she's a terrible cook, so I signed her up for napkins. Sheldon heard us talking. My Uncle Vern is coming with my grandpa, Ned Potts, and they're bringing tater tots, he said. I did a gasp at that delicious news. Yummy, yum, yum, I said. Tater tots. May threw her head back. Pilgrims and Indians did not eat tater tots, she said, real annoyed. My mother is bringing in real kind of food that they ate at the first Thanksgiving. She stood up at her desk. She swung her long braid again. My mother is bringing squash and beans and stewed onions, she said, real proud. After that, room 1 got very quiet. We were thinking about stewed onions, I believe. Then, one by one, we all turned around and we looked at that cleanup sink again. I glanced at Lenny. That sink is going to get a real workout today, I said. Just then, we heard more footsteps in the hall, and yippee, yippee! Our first Thanksgiving guest was here. It was Lucille's Richie Nana, and she brought her real, actual chef guy with her. The chef guy was wearing a tall white hat and a long apron. It was all the way to his knees almost. Also, he was carrying a giant silver tray with a shiny lid on top. He put the tray on the feast table and he pulled off the lid. And wowie, wow, wow, it was the giantest turkey I ever saw. We ran to the table. Whoa, said Roger, how much does that big boy weigh? How much did it cost? Said Lenny. Can I have the drumstick? Asked Herb. What's his name? Said Sheldon. The Richie Nana started to sputter. Oh dear. Well, let's see. I didn't really shop for it myself, so I don't know what it weighs or what it costs. And I don't think it has a name, she said. She raised her eyebrows at the chef guy. Does it? She asked. I thought for a second, then I clapped my hands. I've got an idea. Let's name him Mr. Turkey Pants, I said. Then I laughed and laughed, and all of room 1 laughed too. Names are always funnier if you add the word pants at the end of them. My grandpa Frank Miller taught me that lesson. Just then, another guest came through the door. It was Herbert's grandmother, and she had a big white bowl full of carrot sticks. Whoa, that is a lot of carrot sticks, madame, I said. Sheldon looked at me and grinned. What's their name, Junie B? He asked. I thought again. Their name is Mr. Crunchy Pants, I said. After that, all of us laughed even more. Mr. Scary said, go back to our seats. Boys and girls, I know it's fun to have our families at our Thanksgiving feast today, but we need to be on our best behavior for them, remember? His eyes zoomed in on me. And Junie B, I'm pretty sure we're finished naming the food, okay? I did a salute. Aye, aye, Captain, I said. I am a hoot. Just then, I turned my head and I saw my mother come in with Grandma Helen Miller. And yippee! My grandpa Frank Miller came too. They put a big bowl of jiggly cranberry jelly on the table. Hey, look, it's Mr. Jiggle Pants, I shouted. Mr. Scary did a frown at me. Mother and Grandma Miller frowned too. Grandpa laughed real loud. Then Grandma poked him with her elbow. I slid way down in my chair. Oops, I said, sorry. Then I covered my mouth with my hand, and I didn't name food for the rest of the day. Chapter 11, The Feast. May's mother was the last guest to come to our room. She was carrying 3 bags of food. I did a sniff. Something did not smell delicious. It was the stewed onions, I believe. Also, it was the beans and squash. My stomach did a flip-flop at those stinky smells. I took some deep breaths to try to calm down. Here is a helpful hint. Deep breathing does not work that good when you are smelling stink. Finally, I said the word look, and I held my nose. Mr. Scary snapped his fingers at me. That meant, please let go of your nose, I think. After all, the guests were sitting down. Mr. Scary said a welcome speech to them. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our feast, he said. Room 1 would like to thank you for bringing this delicious food to help us celebrate Thanksgiving. After that, he gave the children a nod, and all of us shouted, thank you. A lot of rehearsing had gone into that. This is going to be a wonderful day, said Mr. Scary, so please grab a plate and let's get started. We let our guests go first. That is, excuse me, that is some kind of a guest rule, apparently. Room 1 lined up behind them. Only too bad for me, because someone took the lid off the stewy, pewy onions, and the smell almost knocked me down. My stomach felt sickish and rumbly. I hurried to the end of the food line. Mr. Scary saw me go, but this time he did not get mad. Instead, he made an announcement to all the children. Boys and girls, today is a celebration of all the things we are thankful for. And since each of us is thankful for different kinds of foods, just take the food you love the most and enjoy every single bite. All of us did a breath of relief. Then things got even better because Mr. Scary walked over to the supply closet and he pulled out one more bag of food for our Thanksgiving feast, and its name was Nipsy Doodles, shouted Lenny. Mr. Scary brought Nipsy Doodles. He ran to Mr. Scary and did a high five. After that, we could not wait to get our plates of food. It was the tastiest Thanksgiving dinner I ever even ate. I had turkey and carrot sticks and Nipsy Doodles and cranberry jelly. Herb had turkey and carrot sticks and 2 giant plops of applesauce. Lenny just had Nipsy Doodles, and that's all. Plus, he took 4 napkins. It will make my grandmother feel good, he said. After we finished eating, all of the children walked around the room, and we thanked our families for the food they brought. Thank you for your crunchy carrot sticks, I said to Herb's grandmother. Thank you for your hugy big turkey, I said to Lucille's rich Nana. Your napkins were delicious, I said to Letty's grandmother. After that, I thanked Mother and Grandma Miller for the cranberry jelly. Then Grandpa Frank Miller picked me up and he spun me all around real happy. Frank would be fun in my real actual class, I believe. After we got done with our thank yous, Mr. Scary said he had one more surprise for us. Then he looked in the hallway, and he did a nod, and guess who came in next? Mrs. Goodsman, I shouted. It's Mrs. Gladys Goodsman. Mrs. Goodsman is the bestest lunch lady in the whole entire world. I sprang out of my seat. Hello, Gladys Goodsman. It's me, Junie B. Jones. Mrs. Goodsman was holding 2 pie boxes in her hands. She put them down and waved at me. Hello, Junie B. Jones. Hello, children, she said. Congratulations on winning the thankful contest. She took out a pumpkin pie and she held it up for everyone to see. Boys and girls, I baked these pumpkin pies for you myself, and I used my own family recipe, she said. These pies will just melt in your mouth. Lenny looked at me and rolled his eyes. Mine will be melting in the cleanup sink, he said. Ditto, I said. Ditto is the grown-up word for mine will be melting in the cleanup sink too. Herb's face looked bluckish and sickish. I just want to get it over with, he said. Lenny nodded. Let's do it, he said. Let's hurry up and get our pie, and then we'll do a quick spit in the cleanup sink, and it will be all over. Mrs. Goodsman started dishing out the pie. Me and Herb and Lenny took a deep breath. Then we quick ran to the pie table, and we each grabbed a plate, and we ran to the cleanup sink speedy fast. We looked at the pie, made sick faces, then we took a deep breath, and ready, set, go. All of us shoved some pie in our mouths. After that, we stood there very still, and we let it just sit there. It felt cold and squishy. I smacked my lips a little bit. Herb and Lenny smacked their lips too. Then 1, 2, 3, gulp. We swallowed our pie at the exact same time, and wowie, wow, wow, that stuff was delicious, I tell you. My head had confusion in it. Wait, hold it. I don't get it, I said. I hate pumpkin pie. But this pumpkin pie tastes delightful. Herb smacked some more. Yes, he said, it does taste delightful. Lenny did not talk. He was busy licking his plate. After he finished, he looked up and smiled. Mrs. Goodsman is magic, he said. All of us laughed real happy, 'cause that was the answer. Gladys Goodsman is magic. We hurried back to the pie table for seconds. Thank you, Gladys. Thank you, I said real loud. This is the bestest first prize I ever ate. I ran and hugged her real happy. Mrs. Goodsman did a chuckle. Then she leaned down and she hugged me back. And she said, don't call her Gladys. Chapter 12. Happy Turkey Day. After all the pie was gone, I threw my plate in Mr. Scary's trash can. And oh dear, that's when I saw him. Philip Johnny Bob was still sitting on the desk with Police Sergeant Chuck. And I had forgotten all about that guy. I ran over and picked him up. Then I hugged him real tight. Philip, I said, how did I forget you? You have been sitting there for 2 whole days, and you did not have one thing to eat. Philip nodded his head. I know it, he said. I would really like some cranberry jelly right now. I patted his softy head. I know you would, Phil, but you can't have cranberry jelly, remember? I said. We tried that last Thanksgiving, and you still have the cranberry stain on your mouth. Phil quick wiped his face. Oh, yeah, right, he said. He looked at the feast table again. Is there anything I can eat over there? He said. I did a sigh. I don't know, Phil, I said. At home, I just shove a peanut up your trunk, but no one brought nuts to the feast today. I pointed to the carrot sticks. What about those, Phil? Would you like me to put a carrot up your trunk? I asked. Phil shook his head no. That would look gross, he said. I nodded. Yes, you're right, I said. It would look gross. I looked around. Then all of a sudden, I spotted a brand new bag of Nipsey Doodles. They were sitting on Mr. Scary's desk, and a Nipsey Doodle was just the right size for Phil. I quick opened the bag, and I put a doodle in his trunk. Yum, said Philip. This doodle is delicious. Thank you, Junie B. Thank you. Just then, a voice shouted in my ear, Hey, hold it. Those doodles don't belong to you, mister. You are under arrest. I quick spun around. The voice was coming from May, but she was pointing to Police Sergeant Chuck. She hurried to Mr. Scary's desk, and she quick picked him up. And then, boom, out of nowhere, Chuck bopped Phil in the head with his trunk. You stole a Nipsey Doodle, and stealing is against the law, he said. Then May tried to take the doodle right out of Philip's trunk, but Philip ducked around her. Everyone looked to see the commotion. Mr. Scary frowned real big. May started to holler. None of this is my fault, she said. Peanut Butter and Johnny has a Nipsey Doodle in his trunk, and Junie B stole it for him. I stamped my foot. No, I did not, I said. Nipsey Doodles are part of our Thanksgiving feast, and feast food is for sharing. May stamped her foot too, but that wasn't sharing food, Junie Jones. That was a brand new bag, and it belonged to Mr. Scary. Then May tried to pull Phil away from me, but I pulled him back. Plus, Philip bopped Chuck on his head. Then all of us got ready to wrestle. Only before we could even get started, Mr. Scary jumped in between us, and he stopped us from bopping each other. Girls, he said, that's enough. Have you forgotten that we have guests? Me and May looked at our guests. May's mother was frowning at us. Mother and Grandmother Miller were frowning again, too. I glanced at my Grandpa Frank Miller. He did a wink. That was refreshing. Mr. Scary kept on talking. I really don't understand what gets into you girls when you pick up those elephants, he said. It's such a puzzle to me. I thought for a second. Then I did a little shrug. I don't know why it's a puzzle, I said. Me and May are just playing with our elephants, and elephants like to bop each other. May nodded her head. Yes, she said, that's what their trunks are for. Trunks are for bopping. That's how elephants play. I thought some more. Then I looked at May. Yeah, only maybe Mr. Scary doesn't know that, May, I said. Maybe he doesn't have an elephant at home. May did a pause. Oh, right, she said. I never thought of that. She looked back at Mr. Scary. Well, anyway, that's how elephants play, she said. And so Junie Jones and I automatically know that. I smiled. Yes, I said, we do. Then all of a sudden, blink, a light bulb went off in my head. I did a gasp. Mr. Scary, you are right, I said. Even though May and I are very different from each other, we love elephants. And so that is how come we were almost being friends just now, because we have something in common, just like the Pilgrims and the Native Americans. May looked curious at me. Yeah, but we're not really friends, right, Junie Jones, she said. It was just this one time, correct? Correct, I said back. We can't be friends forever, May. That would be ridiculous. We don't even like each other. May got a relief in her face. Whew, okay, good, she said, because I really like being different from you. I know it, May. I like being different from you too, I said. Very different. May smiled. I smiled back. Then I tried to do a fist bump with her, but she didn't see it coming, and I accidentally hit her in the arm. Ow, she said. Sorry, I said. May shrugged her shoulders, then she rubbed it off. After that, we both skipped to our seats with our elephants, and we hugged our elephants real tight. It was a lovely moment, I think. But all of a sudden, it got interrupted by shouting. I quick looked up. It was Uncle Sheldon and Uncle Vern and Grandpa Ned Potts. Happy Turkey Day! Happy Turkey Day! Happy Turkey Day! They shouted real loud. They were holding hands in front of the room, and they were doing 3 squeezes. All of the children stood up. We grinned from ear to ear. Happy Turkey Day, we shouted. Mr. Scary looked at room 1. His face got beamy and proud. He was thankful for us, I believe. And that is the end of our story. And just like Mr. Scary is thankful for them, I am thankful for you. And
I'm thankful for you too.
And all of our Avon Grove Charter School family and friends. So thank you so much for being here with us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, bright and early. Have a great night.
Good night.